Release predictions, they're always a blast. And as most of us say, our guesses are usually far better than the actual releases. But with Tudor nowadays, I don't know so much. I think the tables have turned. Because they have delivered so many excellent watches over the last few years. And in fact, over the course of the last 12 months, they have exceeded my expectations more than once. And that doesn't happen very often. But there is always an air of reluctance from our side. Me especially, I always tend to hold back and just assume that the majority of my concepts will never materialize. But lately, seeing the launch of the Black Bay 58 GMT, the Pelagos FXD GMT, the Black Bay Chronograph in blue, and the FXD full black carbon chronograph, I'm starting to see a lot more creativity. The brand themselves, they are being more daring with their ideas. And what I am enjoying most, and I've shared often enough here, is that the brand is paying attention to the smaller details. It's not just about case thickness and size anymore, but the grip on the crown, the style of knurling on the bezels, the length and the width of the handsets, the lines of text on the dial. Nowadays, especially when my pedantic levels have reached tipping point, the focus on every little detail on a dial is what makes it or breaks it for me. Now, judging how Tudor seems to be bringing out a new watch every single month, what I've decided to do in this video is not focus solely on the Watches and Wonders releases, but more a timeline on what we're going to see in the coming months throughout 2025. And also, what's even more fantastic, judging by the releases that we've been seeing over the last 2 years, is that we can cover Tudor watches that aren't just Black Bays for a change. The playing field has opened up, which means that I can be a lot more creative with my ideas, and the possibilities of seeing some of these watches materialize far more likely. 5 years on, it's a very refreshing time to be doing these renders and these designs, because I do believe that many of them, they are very plausible. Okay, let's start with the 50-50 odds. Will we be seeing a new model line launched this year? I don't mean another addition to a previously existing collection like the Black Bay line, but I mean an entirely new line. And floating this idea, just bear with me. What was one of the most appreciated, most talked about, coveted watches released from Tudor last year? The Black Bay Chronograph. Pink dial, boutique blue, and now they've just delivered a turquoise dial. They're a little bit late on that one. Now, what's another collection that's been experimenting with chronograph technology? The Pelagos line. The FXD chronograph has more than one variation available now, and they seem to be popular. I say all of this because I think the brand is subtly drumming up interest and attention before dropping the Prince Chronograph. A lot of us know it as the big block chronograph. I have talked about it at length on the channel before. Now, we've already been teased with an only watch edition of this piece in solid gold, but we've got the dimensions, we've got the specs, which look totally different to any other watch that they've already produced. I think I have said this before, but further validation that we're going to be seeing a steel version of this watch soon is that the prototype was in precious metal. Gold is far softer than steel, so they can test all of their tooling they want on a watch like this. And I think plain as day, we're going to get a similar launch of the Prince Chronograph, or the big block, as we saw with the Black Bay Chronograph when it saw its Panda and Reverse Panda release. The question is whether or not the watch enthusiasts and the community out there is going to cotton on to the Valjoux 7750 design. It's not everyone's cup of tea. So judging by the specifications, it's going to be, 42 millimeters in diameter, maybe just shy of 14 millimeters thick. It looks like such a likely scenario, don't you think? Now let's move over to the more predictable watches now, the Black Bay 58 and a refresh. I know, we've spoken about this plenty of times before, but hear me out. This model line is in quite a precarious position at the moment. You know, the 39mm kicked off where this collection is now, and over recent years we have seen how the Black Bay 41 has been receiving all of the praise. Now with new movements, cases, dials, bezels, everything has changed. Next to that, the polar opposite, the Black Bay 54 being the more faithful recreation of the original. The Black Bay 58, where it once was reigning supreme, is now stuck in the middle. And after seeing how well received the Black Bay 58 GMT was last year, it seems only natural that the standard gilt dial, gilt bezel Black Bay 58 is going to be getting a facelift. So what I've done is I've stretched my limits of creativity to smash together elements of the Black Bay 41 and the Black Bay 54 to give us some rough idea of what we might see. It is not groundbreaking, 5-link bracelets, different handset, bigger knurled crown. They could possibly play around with the text a little bit on the dial, maybe ghost the bezel insert. But this is a concept of where I think the gilt dial, gilt bezel Black Bay 58 is going to go, and very likely. If not the 58 seeing any changes this year, what about the 41? The burgundy bezel was a great start, a great launching point for this model line. Why don't they further expand that? navy blue bezel inserts, olive green, maybe an accent color on the dial. Personally, I don't think it's very exciting, but they could very easily just drop a new range of colors, call it a day. And I think similar to what we have been seeing evolve over the last 12 months, the Black Bay Chrono is going to continue to receive new dial and new bezel colors. So what's in store for the Black Bay collection? Very simply, I think more than anything, colors. But the Black Bay 58, which deserves some attention, should be receiving elements from both the 41 and the 54. Maybe 2 lines of text on the dial, a better crown, 5-link bracelets, and there you go. Now we get to the more Explorer-esque style tool watches and the Black Bay Pro. Is it possible that the Pro receives a facelift, gets the Black Bay 58 GMT movement inside it and customized in a few ways, closer linked to the 1655 than it already is? I don't think so. Not yet anyway. But just swapping out a black dial for a white dial, it is more likely. Now we're going to cover the watches that I've really wanted to talk about. 3 pieces that I think are all highly likely that we will see, if not now, then soon. Judging by the track record and the trends and where the brand has been moving. Now I have a feeling, I just have a feeling, I have an eager anticipation that this is going to happen. The one watch that I want to see delivered by Tudor this year is the 36mm Ranger. I know, I've talked about this watch ad nauseum. I've done separate videos about it, I've shared many designs, but to simply just see this watch brought down in size would be a refreshing start. But more than that, there is so much opportunity for them to have fun here, so let's explore that a little bit more. Now the biggest debate surrounding the Ranger and the Rolex Explorer, if you don't want a 39mm Ranger, you can go after the 36mm Explorer, right? Well, now there is also a 40mm Explorer. The Ranger is still sitting at 39. This opportunity at the moment, it is ideal to release the 36mm counterpart. How do we visually differentiate it from its bigger cousin? Well, the reference 7996/0, it gives you the answer. It's as simple as a date window at the 3 o'clock position. Now, I would agree that the Cyclops lens adds a lot more character to the vintage watch. It loses a bit of charm without it. But what about a roulette date window? How fantastic would this watch look? I've given us both a date and a no date option to compare. What I've also done is include a polished steel bezel on the watch instead of a fully matte bezel. And I've also updated the design of the crown compared to the 39mm. They could also have more fun with this watch creatively with the tip on the second hand. Instead of being a red, more a mustard yellow, which is a callback to the North Flag, the Greenland expedition. If this watch in this sort of configuration arrived, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I think we would all go mad for it. Speaking from a Rolex Explorer's owner's perspective, it would make for the perfect companion piece next to that watch. And the thing is, it's so tangible at this point. This watch should exist. And what they could also do, which is more likely, it's more of the lazy way, is the 39mm watch stays and all they do is swap the black dial for a white dial. This could work. There are a lot of options they could play with here. Whether they use black plots, black numerals, or they go with the cream lume instead. But this piece in 36mm, I know it's ridiculous to keep repeating myself, but this is the one watch that I want to see, not just from Tudor, but watches of this year. It's the one watch I want to see made. And extra bonus points for a red roulette date window. And now to the really cool stuff, the creative side. After seeing the Pelagos FXD GMT launch, it is almost natural for us all to think, well, the 39mm is up next. Whether the standard diver just gets a few new colors, that'll be great, but the Pelagos 39 GMT, highly likely. I've played around with all sorts of colors, just the standard matte black ceramic black dial with a spot of blue for the Pelagos name and the handset. Full titanium, obviously, master chronometer movement. This would be a beautiful watch. Not only functional, but just a great looking piece because of its size. What about an all blue matte bezel, matte dial with a red accent for the Pelagos GMT name and hand? This harkening back to the 1675 Rolex Blueberry. And how great would this piece look? I then started thinking, well, this collection, it only consists of one watch that has a sunbrush dial. So why not implement the GMT component but also give it a petrol blue sun-brushed finish? I think this combination would work very well, but what about an emerald green finish instead? Emerald green dial, dark green bezel. You see, it's not only the potential for color variations that's exciting here, but it's also the addition of a GMT complication in a smaller Pelagos case. And if I had my way to make a decision on choosing some of the mainline watches to be launched at Watches and Wonders this year, Pelagos 39 GMT, and the Ranger in 36mm. Done deal. There is so much in the launch of just these two models to get excited about. And that's what I'm hoping we will see arrive the most. And last but not least, a personal favorite of mine. I want to see the Pelagos FXD, blackout case, blackout bezel, black dial, black bezel insert, black strap. The Pelagos name in grey text, and for bonus points, left-hand drive. And for all my fellow FXD fans out there, how incredible would this watch look? I mean, come on. So these are just a few ideas and renders of mainline model lines that I think we're going to see arrive in 2025, some of which I really hope to see. Pelagos 39 GMT, the Ranger in 36mm, and the Blackout FXD. And which of the few watches that I've shared do you like the most? Do you like the idea of the most? I'm going into this with the hope that this video stays relevant throughout the course of 2025, not just the early quarter of the year. And time will only tell if that remains true. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. See you in the next one.